So welcome back to the channel, everyone. P Street Garage. A few weeks ago I picked up this extremely cheap 2006 Volkswagen Beetle, and it's a diesel. I made a video on that, and I've had the car home for a little bit. In my last video I kind of gave the car a once over, and we saw quite a few issues there. Now, most of the issues that I found were with the suspension and wheel bearings. I had a broken coil spring in the front, pretty much a busted up strut, and I had a broken coil spring in the back. So I went to my favorite store, Amazon, and I picked up some items. So what I got here, and this is what I want to do today, I picked up a couple of struts, a couple of wheel hub assemblies. I got the complete wheel hubs, a couple of back bearings or back wheel hubs, and a couple of shocks. I also picked up a rear passenger side coil spring. That one was busted up on the car. That one I got at a local salvage yard. That was $45. I was going to order a pair from Amazon, but I couldn't get the free shipping on those, so it would have been about $150 for the pair, so I picked up that single coil spring. So, all said and done, that was about $646 for this stuff. The coil was $45, so I'm at about $700. I mean, the car only costs $500, but kind of is what it is. These are some pretty critical items, and if I start off with all fresh, I think I'm going to have a good base, and that's kind of where I'm at, and that's what I want to do today. So let's get started. So my front driver's side, broken spring. So so it's, I mean, I could have cheaped out and replaced just this, but why? Look at the rust, and look at this knuckle. And I could have also cheaped out and replaced only the bearing inside here. But can you imagine pounding out a bearing out of something that looks like this? Not to mention, it's not so much pounding it out. Ideally, you would have a press. I don't have a press here, so why not spend a couple of extra dollars, get an entire hub, an entire strut. And so far, they look pretty good. Nothing really wrong with my passenger side strut at a first glance, but they say that it's good to replace these in pairs, and I can see why. Because although this one's not broken, there's the top of the strut, and I can just grab the hub with my hand. I don't know if you can see that. Just with the motion of my hand, I can lift this up and down. So you can imagine driving down the road with potholes and that. So we're going to do both sides. I'm going to get the vacuum out first. I'm going to clean out this cowl area. This gave me a little bit of grief, this plastic cowl and the wiper arms. I fought with those a little bit, but let's get this cleaned up and let's get started on replacing those parts. Okay, let's get started. I already got the brake caliper off. I got the rotor all cleaned up. I'm going to try to save that. Now I see that it's a reason why there's so many lights on in the car. And the other line here, I think the speed sensor, this one, that looks like a complete ball of rust, so I may have to get one of those. For now, I want to try to take this hub off. Got a 36 mil socket, and then I think for the tie rod is going to be a 19 mil. So let's see how this goes. Yeah. So there's 3 bolts underneath and a little bracket, 3 13mm bolts, and that's what holds the ball joint on the bottom. There's not enough room to get the impact in there, so I'm gonna go in by hand. All right, well, there's the bracket. Unfortunately, one of the bolts snapped off. So, it's going to be one of them jobs. This is obviously not going to be done today, but anyway, we'll keep tearing into it till we get all this crap off. And we'll deal with it after. All right, well, like I said, this is one of them jobs where I think everything's going to go wrong. I was not able to take this tie rod end out. It just kept spinning. I don't even know what's on the bottom of that. I don't know if it's Allen or whatever, it's destroyed now. I had to cut the tie rod off, no big deal. We'll get another one. And I got the old nut back on the center shaft. And I gave these a few pounds. And I think I got the shaft separated from the hub. So now the ball joint is let go. The tie rod end is gone. I should be able to pull this off, and the only thing that's going to be held is going to be it's only going to be held in place by the top of the strut. Let's try that. I think I'm there. There we go. That's supposed to stay here, I think. There. So there's our shaft. Now, I could separate it here, but there's no point because I'm replacing all new, so. Let's have a peek at the top, see what we get. So another thing too is my little wheel sensor here. The bolt snapped off, so time I pound this out of here, it's going to be destroyed. Probably doesn't work anyway, so I'm going to have to get one of those. And but if anything, this was a good call. Yeah, that could make things better. So to take the strut off, it's the big nut up here, and I think that's 21 mil. My issue is I got nothing to hold it in the middle. This is, I don't know if it's German or Volkswagen. I think it's a European. It's not Torx. It's not Allen. It's called Triple Square. And I've ordered a set of triple square bits, and they're not here yet. So, because this is all going to be destroyed anyway, I've got a pair of vice grips on the shaft of the strut, and I'm going to try to back this off. See if that works. Just going to take my time. Again, none of this is being reused, and by the time I reinstall the new stuff, my triple square set should be here. We might be getting somewhere. All right. We got somewhere. Okay, well, here's the old strut. Completely shot. I don't even think I'm going to try to get this out. I'm going to make some inquiries, see how much this costs. If it's a fortune, I might try, but I'll see about getting a new one of those. I need the bolt anyway. And I'm going to take a look at my ball joint, see if that can be salvaged. If it can, I'm going to pop it off. If not, I'll get a new one. So, strut is out. Wasn't that bad. Now that I've done this one, the other one will take 1/4 of the time. All right, let's progress. Okay, well, it's the next day. And yesterday I had to run out to Napa. So I went out and I picked up one of these speed sensors. Got one for each side. This one's pretty crusty, and when you pound these out, they usually get ruined. Got a brand new tie rod end, and unfortunately when you do the tie rod end, you need an alignment. But this one's identical to the one that was on the car, so I'm gonna count the threads and put that on as close as I can to where the old one was. And this one here just has an Allen key, so a little bit simpler. And I got a ball joint. Although I was able to free up the old ball joint, I figured I may as well get a new one. The brand new ball joint comes with a small plate and all the bolts. So where I had snapped off that bolt, that's crisis averted because it's in this little kit. So I got enough of this for both sides. So there's another $200. So I'm up to $900 in parts to get these wheels rolling and get this car going down the road. All right, let's start putting the new pieces back in. Okay, so I got the old bolt liberated off of the old strut. The new strut and hub did not come with these. This is 19 mil, and I slid the new strut into the hub, and I read some horror stories online about these not fitting. This slid in like butter, no problem. So then I got my nut and bolt here. I'm gonna tighten this up. This one is 19 mil, I think. 19? Sorry, this one's 18 mil. Got my new ball joint, and that's the bracket with the new bolts. So the new ball joint's gonna go in very much like the old one did. This one is 19 mil, and I said Allen key a minute ago. That looks like a 6-point. I've got a T40. That seems to get a pretty good bite in there, so I'm gonna go with that. I'll tighten this up, and then I got my speed sensor or wheel sensor. I call it a wheel sensor. And that just goes in the hole here, and I do not have a bolt for this one. I'm gonna have to find a bolt for this. So I'm gonna tighten everything up. I'm gonna attempt to throw this in as an entire assembly. All right, let's try that. So I just took my little cap off of the strut with the extra nut. I'm going to install this right here. And it looks like there's a little lip. So I'm going to try to, I take it that gets sandwiched in. So I'm going to do that, put that in place. Pick up the strut, stick it up in here, and I'll just put the bolt on. A couple threads to hold it in place, and then we'll try to manipulate that shaft and get that on. All right, so I got my entire assembly in, and as mentioned, is just hanging by the single nut up here. Just got a couple turns on this. This is still loose. So now what I gotta do, I gotta wrestle the shaft back in here through these splines, get the nut on. The kit did come with a new nut. And I also have to slide this ball joint bracket into this arrangement here. That's the three 13mm bolts. Once I get that done, we'll tackle that tie rod end and hook up our wires. Tighten everything up, and that's it. Okay, well I got the nut put on. That's the brand new nut. There's a whole torque sequence to this that I'm going to go through after. Now I just drove it in very lightly, just more for alignment purposes. Now I'm going to tighten those three little bolts underneath for the ball joint bracket, 13 mil. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, I got that tie rod separated. I counted about 18 turns. The new one looks very much like the old one. So I'm just going to thread that on to that jam nut, and then hopefully that's close enough for our alignment. Worst case, we'll have to get an alignment in the future. Let's get this on, and let's wrap this up. Okay, well there's that tie rod all reinstalled. That's nice and tight. Everything's good. I got my wires all re-snaked. Happy with everything. I'm just going to throw my brakes back on, and then we'll come back and we'll do a proper torque on this front hub. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm ready to do the final torque on this wheel hub. So the first step, and this is kind of a weird thing, but I went to a couple different forums. This seems to be the consensus. So 148 foot-pounds. That's a lot. Okay, 148 foot-pounds. Then I'm going to reposition my bar. I'm going to loosen the nut half a turn. Now I'm repositioned. Now I'm supposed to loosen half a turn. Okay, that would be half a turn. All right, then you're supposed to turn this half a turn. So that's half a turn. Let me block this up again. And now the final part, which really makes no sense to me, but again, I read this a couple different places. 50 foot-pounds plus 60 degrees. I don't know. We'll just go with it. So there's my 60 foot-pounds, or sorry, 50. And then 60 degrees would be a quarter, be down to here. Let's see. Maybe if I bring this around almost to the 45, that'll be, yeah, be about 60 degrees. Let's try that. I don't even know if I can. That was 50. Yeah, not a chance am I going to get that down here. I don't know, what kind of torque are you getting? I mean, 60 degrees is, well, that's not a torque number, but anyway, let's try it. If I can bring that. Okay. That's as much as I can get on that. All right. All right. Now let's do the other side and jump into the back after. Let's try the back end. Let's try to replace this hub. Hub and shock. .36 mil. Let's see how this comes out. Okay, it's coming out. There's our nut. Now, got to figure out the best way to pull this off. I think I'm just going to give these a few taps, see if this comes off. Yeah, it's coming out slowly. Okay, there's the old one. I think, okay, part of the race stayed on there, so we'll have to investigate this, see how we get that out. So I thought about trying to cut this ring, but I would probably damage the shaft, so I'm going to try a little bit of heat, see how that works out. Guys, well, the heat did not work for me. I've seen people do this, and maybe if I had more heat. I'm also going a little easy because there's a wheel sensor here. It doesn't look that good, but I'm going to replace the front wheel sensors, but I think I'm going to leave this one alone. So I got my die grinder. I'm going to try to slice, if I can slice into what's left of that bearing without touching the shaft, which is going to be basically impossible, but maybe even if I can make a groove and try to pound it, get it to spin. Alright, I'm going to try that. Alright guys, I tried I tried heat. I was using a screwdriver, pretty stupid. I went out and I got a chisel. And with some lube, a little scoring, a little heat, I've got this moving. It's just about off. Just about off, but let's not mess it up at the end here. There it is. And I was too chicken to really score it, so I never really touched the shaft or anything. So that's kind of good. Off, looks good. Here's our new part. There's that inner race that I was working on. Make sure everything's clean here. Now, gentle taps, and we'll put that, let me see. No, there was no new nut that came with that, so we're going to have to reuse our old nut. It looks fine. I'm going to fire that on here. I'm going to drive it all the way in. There's obviously a torque spec for this. I gotta figure that out. I do have a torque wrench, and we'll get this on. Then I'm going to tackle this this shock absorber. All right, let's just try this. I'm going to go very, very gently. Very gently. Okay, that's going in, and make sure that goes in beautifully. I'm going to let this big nut do the work. 36mm nut. I'm using the impact, but I will go gentle, and I will come back and torque this with a torque wrench. Okay, I think that's all the way in. Feels good. Now, to be honest with you, the old one did not feel bad, but it's one of those while you're in here anyway, then I'll be starting fresh. All right, let's tackle that strut. Let's see what this entails. Not a strut. Shock absorber. So for the shocks, it looks like two fasteners up there, 16mm, and there's one just on the bottom there. It's going to be a nut and bolt arrangement. That one's a little rusty. I'll give it a brush before. 16mm, gonna buzz these off and throw the new ones on. Hopefully they're the right ones. Okay, well here's my new replacement shock. Here's the old one. You can tell it was an Amazon special. They were cheap, that's why I got them. And I'm gonna have to do a little bit of modifying here, I think. This cover comes off, and we gotta somehow separate, maybe separate this top piece and add it to the new shock. So let's see how this goes. So I was able to separate the top from the old shock, and it's good because it comes with this whole assembly here. So it's just a matter of putting this back onto the brand new one. And then I can put the locking nut on top. And that's going to be my new shock. So it retains all the original VW stuff. Well, this is the mounting, but then you also get the boot and everything. So that's kind of good. Let me just tighten this up, 16 mil, and we'll throw this back in the car. All right, guys. Well, there's the shock back in place. That was a super easy job. That went well. The hub is all in, like you've already seen. I got my torque wrench out. I consulted the internet, and the consensus seems to be anywhere around 130 foot-pounds. And that's what I got my wrench on. I mean, you don't want your wheel flying off. I'm going to put the cover back on and call this one done. Feels good, looks good. A few commenters said not to reuse this nut. Well, I'm reusing the nut because no new nut came with my hubs. So it looked perfectly fine. It's torqued to 130. Let's call this one done, and we'll move on to the other side. Okay, well, here is the back on the driver's side all done. That was way easier than the front. I got my brakes back on, cleaned up. I'm going to jump to the passenger side. Same kind of deal, except when everything is down, I'm just going to throw in a coil spring, and then we'll see how that goes when we're done. Well, guys, there we have it. I got the back all done now, so that's all four wheels with all brand new hubs and new suspension. I'm going to throw this last tire back on, and I'm going to take this thing out for a spin. It should be much quieter. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Quick test drive to see if the creaking and clunking is gone. So just out for a quick spin with the old Beetle. She's sounding pretty good. It's definitely an improvement. I see my steering wheel is a little bit turned to the right, so that's what happens when you do tie rod ends at home. I'll have to get the car aligned. But all new suspension, all new hubs, new tie rod ends and ball joints. Yeah, should have a pretty good foundation now. Okay, I'm back from about a 20-minute drive, and I'm very happy with my repairs. I think this is all good. I think in some upcoming videos, I think I'm going to address some of these cosmetic things on the inside. Give this thing a good clean. I need one of those. Alright, well, that's all, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.